Hello there, what we're going to be looking at is multiplication and division of fractions. Hopefully, an element of revision for you in this topic. Three over 6, just some basic ideas. 3 over 6, can that be simplified? 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 6 twice. So it can be simplified to 1/2. A little bit of revision. Similarly, 11 over 4, it's an improper fraction, it's a top-heavy fraction. Can it be simplified? Yes, it can. How many times does 4 go into 11? It goes 2 whole times. Whoa, didn't want to do that. Goes 2 whole times, and you've still got 3/4 left. An improper fraction has been converted into a mixed number. Okay, 4 goes into 11, 2 whole times, still 3/4 left. 2 3/4 is your answer. Okay, have a little go at those. Just make sure that you're happy with the conversions. So pause the video, please. Have a little go. Produce answers for those fractions there and mixed numbers. See what you come up with when you simplify them, and then when you come back we'll go through the answers. Okay, 6 over 9. How does that simplify? 3 goes into both the 6 and the 9, 2 times and 3 times. 2 goes into 2 and 22 once and 11. 10 and 40. 10 goes into 10 once and 4. Nice and simple, hopefully, the first row. Top heavy fractions. 3 goes into 11, 3 whole times, and still another 2/3. 5 goes into 19, 3 whole times, and 4/5. 4 goes into 23, 5 whole times, and 3/4. 4 1/2. Okay. We want to make that into an improper fraction, a top-heavy fraction. There's 4 whole ones, each containing 2 halves. So 2 times 4 gives us 8, plus the 1/2 we already had, 9 over 2. 2 whole ones, 4 times 2 is 8, plus the 3, 11 over 4. 5 whole ones, 4 times 5 is 20, plus the one we already had, 21 over, oh, didn't want that, did I? 21 over 4. It's just a little bit of revision there, just to make sure that we're quite happy and confident. Like multiplication of fractions. 3/4 multiplied by 1/2. I always tell my classes that I think multiplication of fractions is the easiest operation to undertake with fractions, okay? All you've got to do, multiply across the top. This is only for multiplications. Multiply across the top. 3 times 1 gives me 3. Multiply across the bottom. 4 multiplied by 2 gives me 8. That is your solution. That is all you've got to do. Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. That is your solution. Similar example. Multiply across the top. 4 times 1 is 4. 5 times 2 is 10. Can we simplify that a little bit? Can we? Yeah? 2 goes into 4 2 times, 2 goes into 10 5 times. All we've done is we've just simplified it, and sometimes they'll ask you to do that. Give the solution, give the answer in its simplest form. So you're going to have to be prepared to do that, that little bit of simplification, which we've already practiced in this presentation. What do we do when we've got a mixed number like that? we've got to do something first. What we've got to do is we've got to make both of these mixed numbers into a top-heavy fraction. So in this example, 2 whole ones, 5 times 2 is 10, plus the 2 we already had, 12 fifths. 3 whole ones, 6 times 3 is 18, plus the one we already had, 19 over 6. Now, we can multiply across the top, we can multiply across the bottom. 12 times 19, don't know about you, I'd struggle to do that in my head. Can we do a little bit of simplification between top and bottom? As long as you've got that multiplication sign there, you can simplify between the numbers on the top and across and on the bottom. And you can do it like this. 6 goes into 12 2 times. 6 goes into 6 1 time. That now makes our calculation a lot easier. 2 times 19 gives me 38. 5 times 1 gives me 5. Can we simplify that? 5 goes into 38 7 whole times and 3 fifths. You can cancel between top and bottom. These are your rules. You might want to make a note of these in your exercise book, and it covers the points that I brought out in the previous example. So if you've got a mixed number, as I did in the last example, it's got to be converted into an improper fraction, a top-heavy fraction. If possible, simplify your fractions, cancel down to make life easier for yourself, again, like I did in the last example. Then, multiply across the top, the numerators, multiply across the bottom, the denominators. And then if you can, simplify your answer. So each of those points has been covered in the previous examples. Start off, first point, make sure you convert any mixed number into an improper fraction, a top-heavy fraction. Then try and simplify your fractions, cancel them down to make your calculations easier. Then multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. Once you get an answer, can you simplify that answer? And that is all there is to multiplying fractions. So those are your rules, which you might want to write down and make a note of, and you should be able to then handle multiplication of fractions. Division of fractions. Hopefully, again, an element of revision for this for you. We've looked at multiplication of fractions. What do we do with division of fractions? Keep, change, flip. That's all you have to remember, and I will have a list of rules later on for you to copy down. Keep, change, flip. Keep. First fraction, so 5 over 6, 5 6 stays as 5 sixths. Change the operation, so change it from being a division to a multiplication. Flip the second fraction. Swap the positions of the 3 and 4. Is that now a calculation that we can deal with? Yeah, I think it is. Multiplication. 5 times 4 is 20, 6 times 3 is 18. We can simplify that. 1 whole 1 and 2 eighteenths. Simplify it even further, because 2 eighteenths, 1 whole 1 and 1 ninth. Okay? Keep, change, flip. Okay? That's your rules. Multiplying fractions. Very similar to multiplication. If we've got mixed numbers, so whole numbers and fractions, we've got to make them into top-heavy fractions. So 2 1/2, If we make that into a top-heavy fraction, it's 5 over 2. 3 3/4. So we've got 3 whole ones, so 4 times 3 is 12. Add the 3 that we already had, so that's 15 over 4, 15/4. Then, what did we say we've got to do? We've got to change it, so we've got to do our keep change flip, so we can do 5 over 2, keep, change the operation from a division into a multiplication, flip the second fraction. So 4 over 15. Now let's make the calculation a little bit easier for ourselves. Can we do a little bit of cancelling on the top and the bottom? 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 4 2 times. 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 15 3 times. 1 multiplied by 2 across the top gives us 2. 1 multiplied by 3 across the bottom gives us a 3. So our solution is 2/3. Similar to multiplication, we've got to change a mixed number into a top-heavy fraction. Then we do our keep change flip. Then we make sure that our answer is in the simplest form, which it is here. That's all there is to division of fractions. Here's your rules. Convert your mixed number into an improper fraction, a top-heavy fraction. Convert the division calculation into a multiplication calculation, so that's your keep change flip. And then just carry out the multiplication and make sure you put the answer in the simplest form, especially if that's what the question's asking for. And that is your division of fractions. Hope that's been useful to you, and I hope that you're able to successfully go through the examples that I'll provide for you. So thank you very much for your attention.